Hello, once again, Mariner fans. I'm Joe Gusser for USMMA We continue our Meet the Staff Monday feature. We're now on week 2. This week, we welcome in Associate Head Women's Basketball Coach, back-to-back Skyline champion Mariners, Coach Alexis Shields. Coach, thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, I guess we'll start with this. Just tell us how exciting it's been building up to the last 2 years. You know, in 2019, you guys battled it out with Mount St. Mary in some regular season games that were really close and the playoffs. You beat them in the finals up at their place. Last year, with the addition of Manhattanville and a really good St. Joe's Brooklyn team, once again, you fought hard through the playoffs. You beat Manhattanville on the road. You beat St. Joe's at home to win the second Skyline Championship, make the NCAA tournament. Just tell us how that experience has been both for you and for the program.
Well, first of all, it's been crazy 2 years in a good way. It's been really positive, and I think that it's done a lot for the program. It's done a lot for me personally. It's done a lot for, I think, our girls. Played a lot of really good teams. I think this conference is pretty good for us. With the traveling, a little bit less than what we used to do at the Landmark Conference, and it's been really good competition for us. I think we've been kind of building for the past decade, really. And I think it really speaks to the quality of players that are here and kind of their dedication. And, we have had some pretty stiff competition, but, I think that, kind of day in and day out, you're going to get pretty decent effort from everybody. And, we were able to stay healthy, which we're super fortunate about. And the past 2 years, it was awesome. Going to the NCAA tournament for the first time, that was fantastic. A lot of our girls, I went as a player. I think Coach has been there as well. So having to see them, I guess, through their eyes, like what the experience was like was great. And in the second year, having a little bit more experience for those that were returning it's not so much of a shock. It's more of, okay, we've been here before. Unfortunately, we came to a loss with that game, but I think it was really good experience for, kind of moving forward to kind of build upon each win that you get every year.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was awesome. It's been great being on the sidelines watching you guys. It's great memories for me as well. So now what do you see from the team moving forward? Obviously, the losses of Kaylee Darcy and Taylor Hightower are tough. But you have some great returners in Lauren Hunter, Madison Demos, Julia Dalkey, Kiana Vega, and others. What can you see from the team this year? Hoping we get to play out there.
That's true. Well, I think any year that you come in, you want to build upon the year prior. So, every year I have higher expectations. If you've been here freshman year, we're going to expect you to be here. And then every year I expect you to be more of a leader, have a little bit more, maybe be more vocal. I would also like, to certain players that maybe kind of played a role. Now try to, get towards the front of the pack and, kind of maybe take a little bit more of a starter role, which would be nice as opposed to coming off the bench. So, I think all the players that we have, hopefully, again, it all depends. We got to make sure that everyone stays healthy. Coming back from sea, you got to make sure that you're, in decent shape and kind of build. Every year you want to build on the success and failures you want to learn from, the previous year and what worked, what didn't work. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So, you want to kind of, it's going to be different because you've had the same leadership for the past 2 years. So now we're looking for people who have been, kind of on the secondary role to move up to that first team of 5. And, hopefully they'll kind of learn from their experiences and take some positives and negatives maybe from the past couple of years, and then, see what comes of that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know I am. So now let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about you. You've been here for now. This is your 13th year. How did you come to Kings Point?
Well, randomly enough, when I was in graduate school at Rutgers, we played here one time. And first of all, the whole Kings Point USMMA was very confusing. I was like, how many names does this school have? And I remember talking to the coach and kind of basically afterwards, I had graduated and I saw this position was open, applied. And the late Sue Peterson-Lubo was actually lucky enough to give me an opportunity to coach, and it was great. I mean, I came from Indiana. I grew up in Indiana, so I had no idea about this school. So coming out here on the East Coast, I learned a little bit more about it when I was in graduate school, and then I was able to obviously learn more about it kind of throughout the whole interview process. And I'm still learning about it, to be honest. It's been a long time that I've been here, and I've been super fortunate that I was able to get a a position here. But it's been great for 13 years, and that's why I've stayed.
That's great. Yeah. Just talk about a little bit about your playing career. You know, you said earlier you were a D3 student athlete yourself at TCNJ. Touch on what you learned from being a student athlete and how you can apply that towards your coaching attributes.
Well, I think anytime that, you can relate to the players on some level, I tend to, with coaching, you tend to remember what it was like as a player, and you kind of want to put those things away and be like, oh, well, this worked or this didn't work. And great, you want to play. Originally, I was a Division I athlete, like a few of the other coaches here, and then transferred to Division III. Best decision I ever made. It was a really good opportunity to kind of experience the whole college experience. So you get to play your sport, you get to kind of have a life outside of basketball as well as get your education, obviously. So you learn a lot of on the court stuff that you can kind of hopefully utilize as a coach when you've been in those positions before. I was very fortunate to be on a successful team where we won our conference, and we also made it to the NCAA tournament a few times. So having had that experience and wanting that for my players and for the team, kind of motivates you. And, obviously you want to win. And when you're used to winning, you're at a certain standpoint, and then you also learn from losing as well. So, you learn from your successes and your failures. And I think that anytime you have any type of experience playing, that helps you, kind of moving forward and see different aspects of the game that maybe you don't see on the sideline, and vice versa too.
That's awesome stuff. Just talk to us about how you've grown as a coach. You started as a GA at Rutgers Newark. You mentioned you've been on the staff of the academy with Matt Dempsey for the last 12 seasons. What have you learned over that time, and what has Coach Dempsey taught you along the way as well?
Well, I think you take little bits and pieces from any coach. You should be taking little bits and pieces from, whether it's you go and see a speaker, or you have the experience from a player standpoint. You remember your college coaches, your high school coaches, and even when I was a graduate assistant, Coach Kevin Morris at the time, he was great. And then Coach Dempsey. Coach Dempsey has allowed me over the past 13 seasons to essentially be myself and to explore different angles of the game. And he's more of like an X and O's type guy. So I've been able to learn a lot from him, chalk talk, that type of thing. He's allowed for me to explore, let's try this. It might not work, but he gives me that freedom, which has been good for me. And he's also taught me to kind of calm down sometimes. I think we balance each other really well. And, he has a ton of experience. So I try to learn, like, whether it's, 5 seconds left in the game, like, okay, what has worked for you in the past? Because maybe I haven't been there. So, there's different ways that I've seen him handle conversations, like tough conversations with players that, having had that experience, I've learned from. And, every coach that you meet kind of along the way, like I said, whether it's at some type of committee that you're going to be on or whatever, you try to take little bits and pieces of maybe their successes again and their failures, and you put it in your own repertoire.
Nice. And to you, what makes these midshipmen that you're coaching now different than the rest? How has it been coaching all these great student athletes throughout the years?
It's been great, to be honest. That's why I've stayed for so long. They work hard. They're leaders. I would say for most of the 13 years, you're banging your head against the wall like every coach does sometimes. But I think overall they want to learn. They want to, for the most part, they're very coachable, which is, for me, that makes my job so much easier. And, if you come to practice every day and you want to work hard, that makes my job so much easier. You may not have necessarily the talent that we're looking for right away, but you will get there because of your work ethic. And I think that's the biggest thing that maybe some other schools, it might not be as developed, but because of the whole regimental side and, the academic side, they're used to discipline, and you ask them to do, the run through a wall for you. And that's fantastic. So, I would say I would miss that. And I've talked to other coaches and, they don't always get that from their players, but I would say consistently over the past 13 seasons, that's what has been amazing. They work really, really hard for you.
Yeah, they really are a different type of student athlete. I can only imagine how it is to coach them. So sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Also, aside from your coaching duties, what other aspects of the academy are you involved in around campus? Which PE classes do you teach? What committee members, what committees are you a member of?
Well, in Division III, you wear many hats. So from the coaching standpoint, you have a lot of different roles, but kind of what's nice about here is you do get to teach. So I deal mostly with the aquatic courses. So I will teach aquatic survival. I teach basic swimming. I also teach a course for the upperclassmen, usually around the second trimester, surface rescue swim. So if you're going to go, whether it's active duty or you're going to go to an MSC type ship and you want to do rescues, that's also a fun class. It's a really decent workout course. As far as committees, diversity inclusion committee, I do leadership assessment for athletics. So we basically developed a rubric that we can assess our athletes at the end of each season. And we've been able to compile some information for the past about 2 years now, which has been really kind of helpful to see, what are we doing? What can we improve upon? That type of thing. But really anything, if the laundry needs to be done for the day for the teams, okay, I'll do it. So you just kind of have to figure out ways to kind of get involved. If there's midshipmen led committees, sometimes I'll pop in on those. The diversity club a couple times, they'll do potluck meals. You want to kind of try to be involved with as many things as possible. So I don't say no, I just say yes to a lot of things. So, that kind of, you get added to a lot of lists, but for me, it's awesome because you get to be around really good, not only coaches here, but you also get to be around really good midshipmen.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of staff members, especially in our department are always, willing to go out and go to the other side of campus and,
Sure.
Make sure that they're visible, make sure that they know, I think it builds a good camaraderie amongst the academy.
Sure.
So yeah, it's something I've seen from you that, is definitely admirable. So
thank you.
Now I know I can think of 2 answers you'll give for this question. But aside from those 2 championships, what has been your favorite memory at Kings Point?
I think there's a few. The thing is, you really work really, really hard. And when you have, things that pay off where it's, you finally get to the championship rounds and all that kind of stuff, that's awesome because that there's players and there's coaches that have come before you that you've built on their shoulders. So that's been really rewarding because you worked so hard to get to that point. But for me, I think some of the most rewarding memories that I have are when students come back and they're now in their careers and they bring their kids and, you tell them about their lives at that point and they're now successful in their careers. I've had tons of those memories. So for me, those mean a lot. Because, you start off as a young coach and then all of a sudden you're like, shoot, I've been here for a while now. And then now people are getting older, and which means I'm getting older. And, you see kind of how maybe you have affected people and what that was like as a player yourself. So, those are the kind of memories that are great. I think the other memory it's good too is that when you have, players turn into coaches, so it's kind of full circle, which has been pretty good. And we've had a few of those that have kind of gone on to do that, whether it's AAU or just high school or something like that. So, that means a lot too. But, championships are tough to beat. Things like that are always going to be, I think, at the top of my list.
Yeah, definitely. I know, tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you grew up. You said you're from Indiana before, what your hobbies are, just some things the average fan or follower doesn't know about you.
Well, again, coming from the Midwest, I've done many different things, including, be around farm country. So I've kind of seen both sides. So with recruiting and that type of thing, that kind of, I find that it makes me a little bit more maybe relatable because you can, depending on what parts of the area you're recruiting. But I love to work out. I love fitness. I love nutrition. I love the beach. I love to do things that are active. Pretty much people that know me would know that. But I also enjoy dogs a lot. So, one of the kind of the dorky hobbies that I'll do is I read books about dogs and like how to train them, because hopefully at some point I can, segue into something dealing with that maybe in the future. I got to work with some of the guide dogs around here, which has been, pretty cool to kind of see them on campus. But I'm kind of a dork. I don't really do like a ton of necessarily stuff, but because we're in New York City, you like to go and do, whether it's like concerts when we can eventually do that due to COVID, but all those types of things. I try to take advantage of every opportunity that kind of comes my way. And like I said, I do say yes a lot. So whether it's, hey, I have tickets to the Yankee game, do you want to go? Great, I'm in. So I tend to take advantage of what other being around New York City gives you.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I really appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for taking the time with us today.
You.
Yeah, and Mariner fans, now you know more about Associate Head Women's Basketball Coach Alexa Shields.